Hey, Zine fiends out there! It's another episode of Zinespiration. With you, as always, is myself, Ryan from Pocket Thoughts Zines, and my good buddy. He's either up there or down there or over there. We don't know how this goes. Craig is here too.
Hello.
Craig, what's been going on?
What's been going on? Well, I've been writing as usual. I've been working on some stuff that I do locally here, some freelance stuff, and I got to eat Shake Shack for the first time yesterday. Yeah, it was nice. And you?
Well, as we all know, my newest zine, Pocket Thoughts number 17, is available at pocketthoughts.etsy.com. Look at that cute little kitty. Don't you just want to pet that and stroke that? You can still get copies of this limited edition Complete Adventures of Ryan 60-page comics. Hear the thud on the floor. But today we're talking with Jessica Maybury from Jessica by Night. You can find her on...
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, like Craig, basically. I've been trying to write and not doing that. And basically the reason I make zines is because I'm procrastinating from writing a novel and have been for my entire adult life. So yay.
You were able to pen these once. I do have these ones. These are little mini zines.
A really short spurt of inspiration. But I do actually, I started a thing called that monthly zine project with the idea that every month you have like a prompt and you make a zine for the month based on the prompt. And I thought it would make me make zines. It does not make me make zines, but some other people are finding it really helpful. So that's great for them. I'm glad it's working for somebody. But I just, so many projects that I start and I don't know. Yeah, here I am in my cave.
It doesn't matter if you've got, something on the go and then another idea happens and you just start that and it's like, I don't like this baby anymore. I'm on to this baby. It can grow up on its own.
It's the thrill of the new.
And speaking of new, I think you do have something just coming out, yeah?
Yes, I do. I have... Okay, so I made this zine for that monthly zine project, but basically it's like about... I walk my dog, he's a big dog, so he takes 3 walks a day. So you have all these variable routes and everything. And then, you get so used to seeing stuff all the time that if there's something new, you take a photo of it to show somebody. Oh, look, my friend in Ajax, actually, in Canada, near Toronto, I think. She and I, for years, have been sending each other pictures of dead birds. So you see a dead bird on the dog walk, you send it to Anya. And I made a zine about all the pictures because, months later, you're looking through your phone and you're like, why are there so many dead bird photos? Seriously, it's kind of sick. So anyway, where I kind of explain, what is this? Why is this here? And by looking at the small everyday kind of things, it's made me realize I'm Irish, unless you can't tell by my leprechaun accent. But I'm living in Belgium and I've been living here for 7 years now. And there's still a lot of small things, when you move to a different country and even all these years later, you're still kind of that's just weird though. What the hell is with that? So I would like to highlight one picture from this zine. It's somebody for a while in the neighborhood was going around sticking little flags beside poops, like a dog would poop. And someone was sticking little flags. And I don't know if you can see that. It's a really grainy picture. But yeah. So, and I was this is the dog shit with a little flag beside it. Is it to warn passerby? Is it to claim territory? Is it giving out at someone for not picking up the poop? Or is it Britain struggling to revive their empire? Who knows? Nobody knows. So yeah, that was actually it. Kind of, you start off from one place and then you end up going to a different place with creative projects, I think. You think, okay, I'm going to make a zine about this, and then it ends up being about something completely different. Or is it just me, like, who does that, or is it other people?
No, I've had ideas myself that like it's gonna be this, and then like, oh no, wait, I'm onto something completely different. And like whether or not you finish it is one thing, because I usually I start with a title and go like writing AC/DC songs. Start with the title and then just write the rest of the song.
Yeah.
You know, I need a good title like inappropriate ABCs or misuses of the word vagina. Just take it Halloweenies and just take it from there and see what happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit like Jess. I kind of, when I'm writing something or I'm working on a new story, I kind of write for about 2 weeks with there's no theme, there's nothing. It's just writing just words, like probably 300-400 words every day, just for 2 weeks. And then finally I catch something and I'm like, okay, this is the story I'm going to tell. And then I just delete those 2,000 words that I've just been writing, and I have something finally. But
Yeah.
how long have you been making zines for?
Since around 2011, I think. I started in Dublin with my two friends, well, my cousin and my friend, and we made a zine called Esk for nearly 10 years. And then it was kind of like the Beatles, like we had a fight and broke up, and they don't talk to each other anymore. So yeah, I have lots of Esks in my house in case anybody wants some. I have so many boxes of Esks. So there's lots of different, there's like 4 issues, and it's all art and mail art and visual stuff. I don't know. We had really high production values, actually, because we didn't really know what a zine was when we started making them. So they went to professional publishers. It cost like what for us at the time was like a whole load of money because we had no money. So I think in the years since then, I've gotten much more back to kind of the fundamentals, like, and what you're actually doing. Which is not spending hundreds of euro on printing costs or having fights over punctuation or something, So it's been good, though.
So what got you into zines then? Like, do you remember the first zine you saw or the?
Uh, I think I wanted to make a magazine like when I was a kid, and that was what it was. But I'd kind of heard about zines, but I didn't really know, and none of us had really. We were like, "Oh yeah, zines," And one of the girls women was an illustrator and is an illustrator, and she knew about zines, and we were all kind of like, and so we started making that. But actually I didn't see other zines ever until I went to our first zine fair, which was early on in Dublin, and that was like, oh, but these look like shit and ours is really expensive. And then it was kind of like, yeah, that's the point. It's the point is that you talk, like, and you get it out there, and you don't have to have it be really expensive or clear or and then it was a while after that I ended up getting into all the music, and then from there, from the zines, then into that.
You're also kind of. Oh, sorry, Ryan.
I'm just going to say it's a good point because I think so many of us have similar background of it. Because as a kid, I was always making magazines and comic books because I was obsessed with comics and drawing. And at one point, I was super obsessed with WWF wrestling, and I had the wrestling magazines, and I used to write my own wrestling magazines, and I just kind of did that growing up. And I was making my own comics as a teenager, and then suddenly someone was like, "Oh, like you make zines," and I was like, "The fuck is a zine?"
Yeah. I love that you called it WWF. I love that. Yes, true believer. No, I lived in America when I was a child, up until I was 7, and then we moved back to Ireland, and everyone was very mean about my accent because I had like this New Jersey accent. But wrestling, though, I really like wrestling. It's just so over the top and ridiculous, and yeah. I should make the wrestling zine.
I love watching, especially the vintage, the old stuff, like when we were kids. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
For the life of me, get into like real UFC, MMA, and I think it's because it's real. I'm seeing someone really get hurt and punched in the head, and like it doesn't appeal to me. But the theatrics of WWF, and you know, they hit the guy, and then he does this, and it's like,
Yeah. And the
more.
stories and everything, you know. I have a friend actually though who's some sort of, what is it, like Mai Tai? It sounds like a cocktail, but it's a fighting thing. Muay
Muay
Thai, whatever. He's some sort of champion and he has a belt, and he's like been a friend of mine forever. And my husband went up to him. He's like, "Oh, you do that kind of wrestling that's just homoerotic hugging on the ground." And Liam was just like, "Yes, the professional kind. Like, as far as I'm concerned, there's only one professional kind." Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to watch that as a kid, and I think I don't know. I kind of have this feeling like when I was a kid, or when I think about them, those characters kind of, yeah, they were kind of strange, but they kind of seemed real. And the characters nowadays are like, you're just fake. You're just trying to be just fake. But it was probably the same total thing. I just had this child mentality.
What I think is so interesting though is because when we were kids and it was so obviously over the top fake with the, you know, the superpowers of the Ultimate Warrior, and he's from parts unknown and the Undertaker is really a dead person and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So incredibly fake, but we believed it was real. And
Yeah.
then at some point in the late 90s, they were like, no, 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 it's not real, it's planned and all this stuff. And you stop believing at that point. It's yeah. I like thinking it's real and when it's not. Tell us a bit about your process then. Like how do you make your zines? Because we get a lot of people asking us all the time for technical, you know, it's like we're IT for zines, right? Like, oh, how do you format this? And I always say there's no right way to do it. But, you know, maybe if you could walk us through kind of some of the steps that you take when you make a zine, someone watching this would go, oh, I've never thought of that.
Oh, I feel like for me to make a zine, it would have to be handwritten. So I would kind of start with that, which I think is kind of limiting, really. It would be so much faster if I just typed it out on a computer and then printed it off that way. But I feel, for me at least, it has to have some sort of tactile, I did it with my hands type thing, like gluing stuff on top of stuff. Because like I spent my entire life in my brain on the computer at work, and like you need to do stuff with your hands, like to be a person and alive in your body, you know what I mean? And like I make different kinds of art, and it's all just that kind of that hand feeling. Um so first I would have an idea, I guess, about anything. I don't know. I've got so many. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll make a zine about that, and like, I'll just add that to my list of things I should make zines about. Yeah, there's a forthcoming one actually about time traveling Scottish pirates. It's going to be a series. Yeah, it's going to happen. Anyway, sorry. So they would generally be kind of per-zine. I have made, as you saw earlier, some kind of lit zines, like literary poetry type zines. And I was going to think like, okay, this is my thing. This is my zine genre. But I think the more zines that I make, the more I'm getting to the place where I just want to be personal about my life and about, you know, just people that I've known or things that happened, or so much more kind of per-zine, but not like, you know, this is how I survived my avalanche. I don't know, you know, something different. But it's
Has
hard
that
to know as well when you're done.
I
Sorry.
just want to ask, has that changed in the last couple of years? Like because of the I'm kind of like putting this, framing this around the pandemic. Has that changed because of that, or is it just because of the zine journey itself? Do you think?
I think the zine journey itself, really. I know that the pandemic has made some people crazy creative and really like, okay, I'm gonna make this and it's gonna be really long and really complete and great. Whereas for me, at least anyway, I have learned to do a number of different things, but that doesn't mean I finish any of them. So it's all a collage. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, think of
But
life.
yes, it's beautiful. I like, in years to come, if I ever have a kid and they'll be like, "What did you do, grandma, during the pandemic?" And I'll be like, "I played The Sims. That's what I did. Sorry." I know. I was thinking about like making this scene about why I don't play old or fat people on The Sims and what does that say about me and culture. I know, yeah, that's like way too. It says something though. I'm going
You
to
did, talking about making stuff with your hands. You shared this thing on social media the other day about I don't know how to explain it, but it's like a wool stitch thing, and it was like in a loop, and
Oh yeah,
it was
yeah, yeah.
nice. You kind of commented like, "This is my favorite thing I've ever made," and I
Yeah,
really like it, but it seems you kind of you do a lot of creative stuff that just isn't in the zine world, don't you?
I do. It kind of makes me think of the playwright Samuel Beckett, and he said that basically all the small things that people do, their hobbies and everything, it's just them piling stuff between them and the inevitable knowledge that we're all going to die and everything is meaningless. So I weave. I take film photos, I make zines, I bind books, I make paper, I keep bees. There's 5 musical instruments in this house. It's quite a thing. So yeah, that's what I'm doing with my life. The round thing though that you were talking about, that it's like this. Hang on, I do weavings because see, it's like this. It's on the loom. So what you do is like I'll have to take it off and you hang it on the wall, And anyway, that round thing was like that except round. I like the round ones, but it's kind of hard to warp the loom that way, so I have to do that somehow.
Interesting.
Cool. Would you ever consider putting a zine together that just shows photos of the weavings and stuff that you do? Because I think even, if someone couldn't have that on their wall, like for instance, for me to get something like that from you to send that to Canada is, it's going to get damaged and wrecked on the way, blah, blah. But to have something I can flip through and see them all would be really neat.
Well, yeah, that might be interesting. I never really thought about it actually. Mostly just because I just haven't thought of it. So now I've thought of it. I'll add that to my list. Things that I've made that you can't touch.
See, start with the title and go from there.
Actually, yeah, the book binding. You sent me something
yeah.
years ago.
There it is. Oh, that's
like
great.
a little kind of travel notebook kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite interesting.
It's Coptic bound. I think that was one of my earlier efforts. Looks good. It's holding up.
Certainly is. This is 2-3 years.
Yeah. I am a writer for a site called iBookbinding.com, and it's about like fine bookbinding and conservation and stuff. Kind of thinking of signing up for an artist book course as an adult, but it takes like 10 years. Belgium takes stuff really seriously. Like, I mean, holy shit, 10 years. I'm just lazy. I mean, really, do I have the attention span to sustain that? I don't think so.
10 years.
10 years. Like, I could be dead by then.
Well, we spoke to Coyote Bones just recently, who does kind of art book, kind of bookbinding, and really interesting stuff. Really interesting.
Yeah. It's gotten me at least that sort of it's gotten me to be much more detail oriented. I am not a detail oriented kind of person, and I feel doing things like weaving or bookbinding are structurally, it has to fit together and work. Like So that has been good. Whereas I feel like with zines, it's a much more freeing thing because it's your stage, isn't it? You can do whatever, and if it doesn't work, it's okay. Um,
If it doesn't work,
yeah.
you kick girls out of the zine.
Sorry?
If it doesn't work, you kick the other two girls out of the zine.
Exactly.
Having collaborated with other people before, is there anybody that you would want to collaborate with in the zine world that you see on social media now, or that you've read their zines and you'd like to work with?
Oh,
They might be watching.
you guys, let's do poems.
Roses are red.
Yeah, violets are. This is a dead bird. I'm getting like, yeah, there we go. It's beautiful. We could have like a little QR. This is another thing. We could have a QR code, and then you scan the QR code, and it comes to a secret video of like you doing a slam poetry thing, and then it's like click this link, and you click the link, and it brings you back to the zine. Just saying. I mean, come on. It's like Inception. Anyway, sorry. Who do I want to
I got a
collaborate
zine, I
with?
got a zine like that recently, actually, that had a QR code, and it sent me to a video of someone kind of erotic dancing or something like
I
that.
love this.
Not super
Love
erotic,
it.
but it was something like that. It was.
That's
I think it's an underused idea. I put a couple QR codes in some zines. I did the Eat Shit and Die zine, which was a comic strip I had done that was it was all the lyrics of a song I'd written and recorded. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if they could see, hear the song and read the comic at the same time? How would I do that? And I was like, fucking put it on YouTube with a QR code. Like,
yeah. That's brilliant though. What I'm interested in as well though is like multi-platform storytelling. So to begin something in a zine, then like somehow sending it to a site that has a chat bot. So as if you're talking to someone. I mean, this whole thing, like, I just think something like that would be really incredible. But you kind of have to set it up like dominoes so that once it all falls into place. That would be a bigger project. I think that would be really interesting actually to collaborate with people on. Um, but I suppose like you'd need some sort of coder or something. Um,
I got no idea, but
sorry?
I've got no idea how that sort of stuff, how the QR code thing works. But yeah, I guess you need. That sounds really interesting, and that's something that you could just play with and just keep adding to. And so yeah, what does interest you? You kind of said that stuff interests you. Tell us about like what interests you. You're into a lot of things. What are you thinking about?
uh, Identity, the nature of I'm basically kind of like a nihilist, except like really I'm okay with this. It's pretty optimistic, really. God, I'm 36. I think about how I'm getting older and what does that mean for people's identity? What, who am I really? And yeah, where's Europe going? I think about way too much stuff, really, to be honest. It makes me sound like oh yeah, really great and loads of great ideas, but most of the time it's mostly just like overthinking, I think. That's what I think about. Yeah, that's basically what's going on. I have been trying to work on a novel. I did a master's in creative writing in 2009, and I wrote a novel, and then it was nearly published by Penguin, and then it wasn't. And I know. So I just was kind of like, um, so I'm kind of like, I feel kind of like I'm doing loads of other stuff now, just so I don't have to write another novel. So then I was thinking, what if I write one and just put it in zines? Then it's not so scary.
Yeah, I think zines are a really good, it's of course it's a really good space, a really good platform to be able to do, short stories, which is what I do, and or even something like a novel. I think as you would know, and as the length gets longer, it becomes a binding issue, doesn't it? It's like, well, I could write a 20,000 word story, but how the fuck am I going to staple, 100 pages together? Or how am I going to bind it? And it kind of gets to that kind of way.
You can do, because what I was thinking was like serialized storytelling, right? Because if you think of a novel divided by chapters, if each chapter is a zine, as long as you've got your own beginning, middle, of an end for each chapter, that kind of, not without the to be continued at same back time and all that stuff, but you can really kind of interweave chapters together as individual zines.
Well, that's how the War and Peace and what was I looking at there? Crime and Punishment, all of that classic sort of stuff that's in the Western canon. That's how all that was put out originally. So it's
That's
not
what I was
like
gonna say, like about Dickens, like that's what he was doing. It was like literally like, okay, gonna wait until the next edition of the paper. I have to make something good.
Exactly. It wasn't even finished story, was it? It was like he just he might have been a week ahead or something sometimes, and that was it. Like it wasn't a finished novel and then like chopped up.
I think that's what I like about zines is that they could, they're not giant, and things with like creative projects and stuff, as I'm probably demonstrating in this call, loads of ideas and whatever, and you're kind of hopping back and forth and everything. But basically, if you just chop things down into little pieces, and then eventually you'll get there. I think, like if you look at really long running Perzine series, it kind of gives you the same feeling, like.
Okay, so what kind of zines do you like? What's kind of your Zinespiration? That's kind of what this chat's kind of titled, and what's
I really like Perzines. Not necessarily like just really about people's lives, like not even necessarily like about how they cope with something or how, it's just literally like, okay, this is my month's Perzine and here's my life. And I'm like, this is actually really interesting because you don't really know about how other people live in different parts of the world or anything. And I also like the really old school, like gay male zines where it's full on, like really kind of gross, but actually kind of amazing in that they're like, yeah, well, screw you. I'm putting this on paper and there it is. It's kind of Tom of Finland type vibes, but yeah, I just really like the simple, to kind of just cut and paste and there you go, it's in the copier and bam. Because I kind of have been wondering, like, if the internet or seeing so many other people's zines all the time, how that is affecting zine making as a whole, because like you're kind of looking sometimes at what sells at zine fairs and how come this one isn't selling, so I'm not going to print that again? Or, do people think like that so much or not? Or, I mean, there must be some change going in the zine world, like.
Yeah, I think there might be, but then also having said that, there is such a variety of zines that like it ends up being what appeals to you. Like you can find a cut and paste, black and white, photocopied thing that looks like it's been photocopied 3 or 4 times because the color's just not very good, and that can really appeal to you. Or you can find those beautiful crafted photo books of people's photography and work, and you're like, this is quality, or this is what I like. So I think even having, with the social media and having such a variety online, it's still kind of just, you just still led to what you like. It's like music. Like we're not,
Yeah.
people. There's all this pop music that's really good, played with good instruments and quality musicians, but you're still drawn to the music that sings to you, that kind of, that appeals to you. So I don't know.
I do think as well, though, like with all the variety, that you see other people's zines on the internet that you might never have seen, or, you know, like living in God knows where, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, well, it's okay for people to do this, and I'll do this, and anyone can do this. And I think that's pretty great. I think that's the most important thing. Like,
you can't predict what people are going to like either. I mean, like, you can look at trends and stuff, but sometimes it just, you know, naturally and organically happens, right? Like, I mean, to have this and make this and go, I think people are really going to like this. It's, you know, there's some cute stuff and there's some fun stuff and there's some fuck you stuff in here, and I think people are going to really like this. And then, you know, maybe nobody takes any interest in it, but then something that you just kind of threw together one day, you know, you can't seem to print enough copies of it, and it's like,
yeah.
yeah, but this is the one that I really enjoy doing.
See, my problem though is that I work in marketing and a lot of like social media marketing, and like I can't not think about stuff like that. Like ugh. So I kind of hope that lots of people out there aren't thinking like, okay, this has this many likes, why and where and which time zone and what demographic. And it's kind of like, Jessica, just that's what I like about zines as well, is that you can just be like, people like what they like. Don't have to run ads, you know.
Yeah,
I
my fault.
actually years ago I had a job interview at Yahoo, and I was telling them about my zine, and they were really interested in it. I know, yeah. I was like, it's a visual art and literature publication, and they were like, wow. And then they were like, what kind of ad space do you run in that? And I was like, we don't have ads in the zine. And they were like, they kind of looked at me like, you've just blown this interview. Like, you know, you're here to work as an advertiser and you think ads are bad. It's fine.
Uh,
They're like helping people censor China or something, Yahoo, so they don't need me.
mm, yeah. Yeah, you occasionally see some ads in zines, don't you? Like some of the ones like skate zines, things like that,
Yeah.
that are trying to really, trying to cater to a different, trying to cater to a different market than just like an average zine, which I think is totally cool.
Yeah.
And and like we talked about, everyone has a different style, so they want to produce a bit of a higher quality zine because that's kind of what they want to do. I think that's completely cool to run some ads and it doesn't have to be off your back and out of your pocket to just to print a couple of copies of a zine. And
No, I mean, but it's the kind of ads that they were like, what ad space are you selling? You know, and I was kind of like, get away from me.
I remember when we were talking to Alex Reck there about zines that had some ads in it, and the thing is that they're never timely, right? Because by the time the zine is done and out there, and maybe you're getting a zine that's a year old, and there's a year-old ad in there, and that doesn't exist anymore. I do think that zinesters have a good opportunity to include ad space if they want to use it within the envelope if they're mailing it in the mail, right? Like, you see it sometimes from Nix at Sea Green. She'll include stuff from True Zine Marin and other people in the envelopes. And I think that's probably a smarter option for it because then it's more like a flyer than an actual full page advertisement.
I like flyers. I like it when people, I keep all of them. I actually have another idea for a zine where you know, the way you buy zines from people and they write you a little note. And
yeah,
I have all my little notes ever that anyone's ever sent me because I'm a pack rat. And I'll make a zine out of that. Yes, this is it. Yeah. Sorry, my voice, I sounded like a gremlin or something. Yes.
I feel
Uh,
guilty if I throw anything away that someone sends me in a zine. I kept an envelope
yeah.
because it had a printed. This is from like Livermore's, and I'm like, and I accidentally like tore it a little bit, and I was like, oh, I should have opened it, and I should have thought about it a little bit
Should have
more.
been
This is an internal
careful.
envelope.
Yeah.
The stickers. I love when people send me stickers with their zines. So I bought this beat up guitar just to cut stickers that everybody sends their zines. Straight up the
I've
record.
a ukulele downstairs. It's just like that. It's covered in, I don't know, does it do something to the sound? I don't know. Oh,
It doesn't
what's
have
that?
now anyway, so we can,
Oh,
pretend.
oh yeah, I see.
Ah. Yeah, I can stick it too. God.
Oh yeah, gotta love it.
And notes, handwritten notes.
See, there you go. Put them in a zine. Free idea from me to you.
Thanks.
I don't have enough yet. I was going to try and do it for my last scene, but I just didn't have enough material. I'm waiting for more. Is I've been cutting off all of the used stamps from all over the world that people can send me, and I'm going to do a collage of them for scenes
Wow.
coming within, because then you get the actual stamp on top of the stamp from the post office, and I'm like, this would look really cool as a collage, even just for myself to be like, look at where all the mail I've gotten from.
Yeah, that's
That'd be a
incredible.
cool poster too. That'd be a cool poster, I
Hmm.
think.
Yeah.
I didn't
Um,
thought of
I
that.
collect stamps. What do I
You
not
collect
collect? Yeah, yeah. I kind of lackadaisical collecting of stamps. It's not like I'm like, oh, this is an important run of this particular stamp and I need this one. I'm just like, oh, look, I'm gonna keep this. My stamp collection means nothing to nobody apart from me. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I got like 500 over 500 books, and like 300 of them are like fantasy, which I just don't read. I just got from a friend who was moving back like overseas or something. Like, yeah, I'll buy all your books from you. I'm like, oh my god.
Uh,
Uh,
did you moved to Japan and I moved here, and when I moved here I basically had to get rid of half of my books to bring them here because I couldn't afford shipping, and I had to bring them to the recycling center and it was horrendous and I feel so bad about it. So if anyone's watching this, don't ever do that. Just keep all your books.
yeah, just keep them. Just keep.
Yeah.
Just give them friends to hold. Just hold them. I might be back in 20 years, but just hold them. Yeah, I know. Like cycling.
Yeah.
Mm, it's books. I can't throw them out. I can't. You know.
You
I
touched on
want
something,
more.
hopefully elaborate, when we were talking about the QR codes and stuff earlier, and the interactivity of it, which I think is brilliant because it kind of segue, that's not a word, segues into like the future. And so what do you think is the future of zines? What would you like to see from zines in the future?
Mm, I was kind of wondering, like, will they always stay the same? And is that bad? But I don't think that's bad because I think that's enough. And actually, I think it's really important that they stay paper, because everything, once it's on the internet, is everywhere, always, forever. And I really like that zines, they can be as ephemeral as you want. Like, you can do one print run and that's it, done. Like, um, and I think it's really important as well, like that there's nobody around with zines to tell you, like, oh, for example, this novel cannot be published. Like, yeah, okay, just I'll put it in my zine series and nobody can tell me no, you know?
Mm.
And I think that that's really important. Like, so I would hope then for the future of zines that it keeps being ungatekeeped or like as accessible as possible to everybody,
Mm.
and not seen because in a lot of recent articles to do with Corona and everything, it's like zines are having another day, or zines have come back, or zines are alive again, and I'm kind of like, they always were, though. You guys are just not looking in the right places. I mean, I don't know. People tend to think of them just solely as like Riot Girl, 70s, 80s type punk. That's it, that time and everything. And yeah, that was really important. But yeah, I don't think they're going anywhere, and I hope that they don't change too much in a bad way. Like,
Cyclical, right? Because Craig and I were talking to a Riot Girl Zinester recently, and afterwards, him and I were just like, how does someone in their youth get interested in a zine movement from 20 years ago?
20, 90s.
Yeah, and like, yeah, in the 90s, and how, how is that happening?
Yeah,
So I don't know the answer, but it's cool. It's cool.
it is cool.
Well, something I've been thinking about recently, and I might be writing something about it soon, is people always talk about the science fiction zines of the 30s. When did zines start? And there's like kind of a debate. People say, the 1930s, 20s, 30s of the science fiction. And then it could even go back to like, kind of, I think like the, what is it, 1700s or something. There was kind of that printed, flyer kind of stuff. And I don't really know, but I guess this kind of format seems to be more from the 30s, the science fiction kind of format. But anyway, I'm kind of interested, like, what did those zines look like then? Like, and then also like something we sort of spoke about with the other day with the about the Riot Girl with the Riot Girl Zinester, was that zines have really just continued to stay true through all of the ups and downs of new technology of typewriters, and then we adapt, and then Zinesters adapted typewriters into that, computers, Zinesters adapted into that, but also then there was television with this big boom in the 80s, and videos, and zines continued to keep going, and then the rise of computers and social media, and we've still got these. I got boxes of zines down here, just out of camera. It's like there's something about the tactileness of zines that we just will just seem to never disappear.
It's kind of the immediacy of it as well, though. It's like you're literally talking to one person, and I think that appeals to people. You're talking to the reader, and actually the readership isn't that big, so you're talking to specific people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's, yeah, I don't know, I think it makes you feel more connected to people.
Yeah, I think that's kind of all. I think we've kind of covered everything today. It's been really great chatting with you.
It's been lovely chatting with you both as well. I could do this like all night. It's like 2 in the morning now, though.
Done this all night before. It gets crazy sometimes.
Oh, yeah?
Real quick, if you want to hold your stuff up and just tell everyone where to get your zines, that would be
Oh,
great.
yeah. Hang on. Oh,
Okay,
God.
you want to do that idea we talked about?
Yeah,
Oh,
the new one would be cool.
We'll stop and then start again.
wait, sorry, what?
Oh no, we'll keep this for the ending. It's good.
Okay, so we'll go like this. Ooh.
Oh, this one's up too, huh?
Okay. Go to my Etsy. It is called Fake Breakdown Crafts. Yay! Thank you.
So much for the show. If you're out there watching, hit subscribe so you can keep seeing, and comment down below what what you think about what Jessica had to say.
Yeah, let us know. All right, thank you very much.